You cannot get through one single day without having an impact on the world around you. What you do makes a difference, and you have to decide what type of difference that is that you want to make. Dr. Jane Goodall. Hi, I'm Amelia Maduri, and I will be addressing the differences that California Waterfowl Association decided to make. This lovely golden state of ours that we all like to call home has a world-renowned organization known as California Waterfowl Association, CWA for short. California Waterfowl Association plays a monumental role in conserving the great state's waterfowl, wetlands, and hunting heritage. California Waterfowl Association has taken part in the action of conservation since it was founded in 1940. They represent and instill the importance of hunting and conservation through California and the Pacific Flyway. The Pacific Flyway is otherwise known as the North-South Flyway for all migratory birds in America, leading to the migration of the birds here in California, bringing all different types of shapes, sizes, and species of waterfowl. The better half of all waterfowl that comes into California, CWA attends to daily and is accounted for. Reiterated in their 2017 annual report was the restoration of 59 natural habitats here in California, totaling out to be roughly 9,000 acres. And as a CWA employee, I have participated in many restoration efforts and gained firsthand experience of the egg salvaging, habitat restoration, and the banding of waterfowl. The banding of waterfowl, what that does is it helps us track the birds that come in and out of California, where they migrate to, where they migrate from, and the circle of life that they attend to. And what that also does is if the bird is harvested, hunted, and taken down, the hunter can track where the bird has been. So it is kind of helpful in many aspects as a hunter and a conservationist here at California Waterfowl. Almost all CWA employees do contribute in one way or another to the conservation efforts, and one way that a lot of us do is to hunt. This might be a little bit confusing to some, but let me explain. There are specific seasons throughout the year that are allocated to the harvest of waterfowl, and within these seasons there's daily limitations on the amount of birds to be harvested per day. And amongst the different birds, the limitations do vary and are set into play by California Fish and Game, and are changed throughout the season, per season, yearly. It all changes depending on the migration in the Pacific Flyway, which California Waterfowl takes hold of yearly, and the amount of birds that do come in and out are all accounted for. Unless we miss a few, that always happens. But for example, the northern pintail is a smaller duck, which I have an example here for you today. It is a smaller duck. It's a little decoy, so you can get a picture of the size. What this decoy is, it attracts other birds to the grounds to either be trapped under a net and banded, or to be hunted. That is the size of the pintail, and that just gives you a description and a more in-depth detail of the size. And that happens to be a smaller bird, not as frequent here in California, but their daily limit is only one. And due to the low count of migration here in California. And we have, on the other hand, a larger duck. Some of you might be a little bit more familiar with. This is a snow geese, also known as a bar-belly geese. I have in my speech a example of this waterfowl here, this goose here. It's a lot different size in comparison to the pintail, and you can see this here. This is a fairly larger bird and has a significant difference in the limit, the daily limit accounted for in California by Fish and Game, and that is because they are invasive species, and that limit is 21 birds per day during the season. That's not 21 birds during the season altogether, it's 21 birds per day per season. And that's just because they are so invasive. And by that I mean, for example, CWA received a call from a Sacramento farmer who lost his this year's harvest of rice all in one day due to the gaggle of geese that took over his property. And unfortunately, in that large upset, he lost the profit for the harvest. But the large gaggle of geese, what they do is they uproot and destroy all crops, leaving nothing left to be obtained or harvested. They destroy everything in their path, and a lot of the time when there's so many of them, they will manipulate other birds or take over their nests of other birds and squash their nests as well due to the density of the gaggle, which makes it a lot harder for other birds to repopulate and come here to California because of the upset of the geese here. Conservation is the conservation is the act of preserving natural environment, resources, and wildlife. CWA's main focus is waterfowl, wetlands, and the hunting heritage, because the overall goal is to keep the natural habitats here in California. Through their conservation efforts of wetland restoration, egg salvaging, and hunting, and also informing other generations of our efforts by visiting schools all over California, CWA is creating sufficient knowledge and abundance for waterfowl to migrate, replenish, and repopulate for future generations. This would not be possible without the volunteers, numerous employees, and charitable donations as well. CWA took a stand back in 1940 for all of California's waterfowl, wetlands, and hunting heritage to conserve this great state's future wildlife. There was a difference to be made in conservation. It takes precedence, but not for me, for you, for future generations. And California Waterfowl Association decided to make that difference for all of us. If you have any further questions or would like to look into different opportunities for you to help here in California with our natural wildlife, please feel free to ask me any questions and I'll do my best to point you in the right direction. Thank you.